I am not sorry, I have decided to start a new life without you. The words fell heavily in the air of the small hall where we'd gathered to pay our last respect to my deceased daughter. Robert, my husband of 20 years, stood with the microphone, with eyes void of any emotions. His announcement displacing the small gathering who had came to share in our pain. Whisper fell silent, you could hear everyone's breathing. Sad eyes stared towards Robert and me, waiting for my reaction, waiting for me to scream mad. The loud scream that would hit the roof of the small hall, that dramatic reaction. Instead, I smiled, thank you for finally telling me. Dear viewers, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the channel Revenge Served Hot. If you fancy betrayal and revenge stories, then consider subscribing. Also tell us where you are watching from. My name is Olivia Caprin. I am 45 years old, and before this very moment I have been the most loyal, understanding wife-mother any man who wished to have. I put my high-paying career on hold, just so I could support my husband Robert through all his businesses, career struggles and different phases of his life. I raised our daughter Chloe, who now lies inside the casket now. Her face cold with no life, no expression, just stone cold, wearing her favorite dress that I had gifted her on her 18th birthday. I turned my head and my eyes met with Gabriella Hudson, Robert's 25-year-old girlfriend, shifting uncomfortably at the corner table where she sat with the people who I had considered family for the most part of my life. Same family who knew about the affair but chose to hide it from me. The same Gabriella who had been introduced to me as his cousin, same very one. I took in a deep breath, reached inside my bag and pulled out a black mobile phone. I placed it in front of Robert's table. What's that? He asked, his facial expression uncertain. It's my little gift for you on your new life, I said. I looked at Gabriella, then Robert, then back at Gabrielle, who looked too pale and scared to look me in the eyes. I held her hand. Congratulations, my darling, I am so happy you found love. I walked to the front of the small hall and addressed our stunned guests. I truly appreciate every one of you for coming to share in my pain. I wouldn't want to waste your time, so feel free to leave. Do have a lovely day. With that, I marched out of the hall, pushing with me my daughter's casket. The door shut behind me as heavy whispers filled the hall. Outside, I felt the cool afternoon breeze touch my skin, as if comforting my soul. I handed over the casket to the cemetery workers, while I followed behind. I heard the door of the hall swung open, followed by Robert's frantic voice. Olivia, what nonsense is this? What have you done to me? His voice roaring as he marches towards me. I didn't look back. I continued walking, letting out a painful smile. Inside, the black mobile phone eased the revenge I had been carefully planning for months. I had always been the one carrying the family on my shoulder. The one who took loans to pay off debt incurred by Robert after he made a wrong investment that failed. I was the one who worked 12 hours every day just so I could save up for a business idea he told me about. A business he said he loved. A business that folded up in just 3 months. I personally saw my daughter Chloe through college. My dream career of running a tech company halted because I was sponsoring Robert's many businesses that never yield results. But I kept hoping to see him win. I had told myself that I would work on my dream after my daughter graduated college. After my Robert finally win. Few months ago, I started noticing Robert sneaking to take calls. Some nights he would whisper on the phone. I had suspected he was cheating, but what I found out was worse than cheating. Robert was planning to take my money and dump me for younger girl. The same girl he and his family had introduced to me as his cousin. I did my findings. I discovered a secret account he had been moving my money to. Yes, we had a joint account that I put 90% of the money inside. Robert was slowly stealing from me. As if that wasn't painful enough, my daughter Chloe died. We had just celebrated 18 years' birthday. My sweet girl died from an allergy reaction. I expected Robert to be down like I was, but he acted as if it was the most normal thing to lose an 18 years ago child. Stop acting like you are the first woman to ever lose a child, he said to me. The man I had lived my life for, the man I had loved and made sacrifices for, looked me in my face and spat those cruel words. Robert had planned to dump me after our daughter's burial. He didn't want people to see him as heartless. But what he didn't know was that I knew of his plans. I was 3 steps ahead of him. I had already prepared the divorce papers. One thing Robert had forgotten was that we had a prenup. When we got married 20 years ago, he was a struggling man with nothing but a beaten-down car, a second-hand suit, and dreams bigger than his pocket. I had been the one with a stable job, savings, and a house my late father left behind. Back then, his mother and sisters had pressured me to sign the prenup because they believed I was too ambitious and might one day throw Robert away with nothing. The prenup stated clearly, whatever assets we had before marriage remained with the original owner. I had laughed then. What could possibly come between us? I had thought. I was madly in love, blind to the wickedness people could hide behind polished smiles. Little did I know that same prenup, the document they had used to protect Robert, would one day become the very blade I used to cut him out of my life. Robert never thought I kept records. He thought I was too emotional, too naive, too loyal to see past his charms. But while he was out playing house with Gabriella, I was documenting everything. The black phone I placed before him at the funeral wasn't just a phone, it was a vault of truth. Inside was evidence, every shady transfer, every conversation with Gabriella, every whisper he thought the night had swallowed. I had hired a private investigator months earlier, long before Chloe's death. Every call, every text, every screenshot saved. So when Robert stormed towards me outside the funeral hall, his face pale, his voice shaking with anger, I didn't tremble. I turned slowly and looked him dead in the eye. "You wanted a new life, Robert, congratulations," I said, turning to go to my daughter's grave. Gabriella rushed out after him, her heels clicking against the pavement, her face twisted in panic. "Robert, let's just go, please." But Robert wasn't listening. He grabbed my arm roughly, his nails digging into my skin. "Olivia, you don't know what you're doing. You think you can embarrass me. You think you can ruin me." I didn't flinch. Instead, I leaned closer to his ear and whispered, "Ruin you. Robert, you ruined yourself. I'm just revealing the truth." The cemetery workers froze, watching the drama unfold like a live play. Guests from the hall spilled outside, whispering and recording with their phones. Robert's mother, my mother-in-law, finally came out, clutching her wrapper tightly around her shoulders. She had always disliked me, but today her face carried something different, fear. She knew. She had always known. She had covered for her son. "Olivia, stop this madness," she hissed. "You've embarrassed us enough, you are still his wife." I turned sharply, locking eyes with her. "Wife? Did you call me his wife? Tell me, where was this energy when your son was parading his side chick as his cousin? Where was this energy when he emptied our joint account to sponsor her trips to Paris? Where was this energy when I cried myself to sleep every night after losing only child? Your son mocked me for mourning my dead daughter, a child I had raised and given everything to. Tell me why I should call him my husband." The silence that followed was louder than thunder. Everyone stared at her now. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I walked away, leaving Robert shaking with rage, but I wasn't done. 3 days later, the divorce papers were served, and that was when the real war began. Robert showed up at the courthouse with Gabriella at his side, her head held high as if she had already become the new Mrs. Caprin. His family sat behind him like a wall of support, whispering and glaring at me. But I didn't come alone. My elder brother Marcus, a seasoned lawyer, sat proudly by my side. And beside him, my cousin Helena, who had been more of a sister to me than anyone else, gave me a reassuring smile. The judge entered and the case began. Robert's lawyer painted him as the victim, a poor man trapped in a loveless marriage with a cold-hearted woman who had controlled him for years. He spoke of sacrifices Robert claimed he had made, of debts he supposedly carried on my behalf. Lies, all lies. When it was our turn, Marcus stood. He wasn't just a lawyer, he was a storm, calm but dangerous. He presented the evidence from the black phone, bank statements, emails, voice recordings. The courtroom gasped as Robert's own voice played aloud. "I'll get everything from her. She thinks she's smart. Olivia is nothing without me. By the time I'm done, she'll be begging on the streets. Gabriella and I will live the good life while she rots." The recording echoed across the walls of the courtroom. Gabriella's face turned crimson, her legs trembling. Robert jumped up, shouting, "That's fake, that's not me. Olivia set me up." But the judge silenced him. Then Marcus revealed the prenup. He slid the document across the table with a cold smile. "Your Honor, according to this signed agreement, Mr. Caprin is entitled to nothing from my client's premarital assets. All joint accounts have been traced, and we have evidence of fraudulent withdrawals. In fact, we will be filing for financial damages." Gasps filled the air again. Robert's face turned ghostly white. His mother covered her mouth, unable to speak. Gabriella stood up suddenly, grabbed her purse and stormed out of the courtroom, leaving Robert alone. And then it happened. The mighty Robert Caprin, my husband of 20 years, the man who humiliated me at our daughter's funeral, collapsed. Right there in the courtroom in front of everyone. I didn't move, I didn't rush to him like the old Olivia would have. I just sat there, calm, collected and free. For the first time in years, I felt alive. But this was just the beginning. Because exposing Robert wasn't enough. His family, the same people who mocked me, who hid his affair, who pretended to be my support while stabbing me in the back, they too had a role in this downfall. And I had a plan for every single one of them. It started with Robert's sister, Melissa. She had been the one calling Gabriella sweet cousin at family gatherings, dragging her to sit beside Robert and giggling as if nothing was wrong. She had introduced Gabriella to my daughter Chloe as your fun auntie. But Melissa had her secrets too. Through the investigator, I discovered she had been siphoning money from the family business Robert claimed he was running. It wasn't just Robert who was living off me, it was all of them. I had the receipts, and I made sure copies landed on the desk of the tax office. The next was his brother Andrew. Andrew had been my confidant once, pretending to be sympathetic, telling me to be patient with Robert. But he was the one who had opened the secret account in his own name to help Robert launder my money. When I revealed it in court during the second hearing, Andrew nearly punched Robert for dragging him down. The family's unity shattered right before my eyes. As the hearings dragged on, Robert tried everything, begging, threatening, even sending his mother to plead with me. She came to my house one evening, kneeling at my doorstep. "Olivia, please, you have already disgraced us. Don't take Robert's name to the mud. Think of Chloe's memory." That name, Chloe, my daughter, the only innocent soul in this mess, the mention of her broke me, but I didn't show it. I looked down at my mother-in-law and said, "If you thought of Chloe, you would have stopped your son before he destroyed our family. Don't use her name to silence me now." She left in tears, but I felt nothing. They had shown me no mercy. Why should I? The court hearings lasted months, each session peeling back another layer of Robert's lies. The more evidence Marcus presented, the deeper Robert sank. Gabriella abandoned him completely, posting cryptic messages on social media about being used by older men. She even tried reaching out to me privately, but I ignored her. Finally, the day of judgment came. The judge's words rang like church bells. "Mr. Caprin, this court finds you guilty of financial fraud, breach of trust, and attempted concealment of marital assets. You are hereby ordered to repay damages to Mrs. Caprin. Furthermore, as per the prenuptial agreement, you have no claim to her assets. Divorce granted." Robert's shoulder slumped, his face hollow. His family sat there, their head buried in shame, whispering and avoiding the stares of the public gallery. I walked out of the courtroom head high. Cameras flashed, reporters screamed questions, but I didn't say a word. My silence was my victory. That night, for the first time since Chloe's death, I slept peacefully. Not because the pain was gone, but because I had taken back my power. And yet, deep inside, I knew this story wasn't just about Robert. It was about me, about the woman who gave too much, forgave too much, trusted too much. It was about reclaiming the years I lost. So I started over. I revived my dream of running a tech company. I poured my energy into it, the same energy I once wasted on building Robert's business. Slowly, my life took shape again. Robert, on the other hand, became a shadow. Word spread that he was living in a rented apartment, abandoned by Gabriella, disowned by his own family. He tried calling me once, leaving a voicemail. "Olivia, I'm sorry. Please, I have nothing left. Help me." I deleted it without listening twice. Because the Olivia who lived for Robert died with Chloe. The woman who rose from those ashes was someone else. And as I stood one evening by Chloe's grave, watching the sunset paint the sky, I whispered, "Mama kept her promise, baby." I didn't let him win. The wind blew softly, like her spirit was listening, like she was comforting me, telling me how proud she was of me.